Thank you. I'm also excited to, in a long time, to speak about something that's real and tangible and that actually happened, not just about theory. My name is Joseph. I've been around for quite a bit. Does anyone remember Pawn as a project? Awesome, a few people. So long story short is that I've been through this journey of growing up, and so was Pawn, and it was our initial project that enabled universal peer-to-peer lending in an intent-based fashion, where we started experimenting with all sorts of different loans. But the reason for why Pawn has started was the fact that I was in a similar situation as the gentleman before me, and I had an issue to get a mortgage from traditional finance because I was too entrenched in crypto. And Pawn was started as this potential solution or pathway to a solution, and finally, end of last year, we kind of graduated from Pawn to Own to start focusing on one of the painful parts of being in crypto, which is getting access to something else than crypto, something real, something tangible, which in our case was real estate. So my story is that no bank would touch me. I tried to get a mortgage, I failed several times just because of my affiliation. And this is a story of what we created to actually fight that. So is anyone familiar with Bordel? Less people than Pawn. But Bordel is a hackerspace. Last year, I would say, was a hackerspace, but now it's a soon-to-be hackerspace again. Founded in 2020, essentially during COVID, in the basement of Paralelní. Some of you might have seen this tweet. I think it was from Bankless. That was around the merge, and the picture down here is actually the original Bordel basement with a bunch of guys from the Get team testing the merge. And it was our little sanctuary, that's a popular word, in Prague, where we just had fun. And we were hacking on a bunch of things and did some crazy experiments. But it was like a small community space where like-minded people could meet, just a traditional hacker space, right? The other part of the story is that around the same time, I faced these rejections from TradFi. So during ListConf in 2021, I talked about how to get a mortgage as a crypto native, talking about the ways you can achieve a similar type of exposure to a mortgage-like loan if you're a crypto native. And it took me a bit to actually build something tangible. So the story of Bordel actually ended in 2023 when we had to leave the space, and shortly after Paralelní was closed. But in 2025, there was a new wave of enthusiasm, especially thanks to Mario, essentially keeping the whole idea of Bordel alive during the time when we didn't have a physical space. So we started talking about opening up a new Bordel. We started talking about, okay, let's be crazy a bit. Let's actually put all of those ideas to work, and let's raise a DeFi mortgage. Let's try to buy a physical space that we can call our own somewhere in Prague. So we got down to work, started building prototypes, started playing around with a bunch of ideas, built a UI in early 2025, and it took us a bit to actually get things started and actually make the move. The target was that around Dappcon in Buenos Aires, we are going to launch the very first DeFi mortgage. So how does a DeFi mortgage look like? Anyone here from TradFi? No. So usually the TradFi people hate me. I always say a DeFi mortgage, and they tell me, like, how is this a mortgage if it's just on crypto and it doesn't, like, how does it touch real estate? The point here is, what we wanted to create was the most decentralized version of what we could. And it's obviously like hard to build something that's decentralized and connected to the real world, legally also. So we wanted to recreate a mortgage-like experience, mortgage-like exposure, mortgage-type functionality, with just using the tools that we could access in DeFi. So what we needed was a fixed rate, it's a guaranteed rate that doesn't wreck you in price swings, something that gives you long-lasting assurance, something that limits your risk, especially against getting liquidated, because that's a big pitfall. Like, you can take a DeFi loan, but then either does the thing that it just did last week, and boom, you're wrecked. Like, all of your plans are in a trash bin. We wanted something that there's no human factor either, someone that could rug you. And we also needed, for this to be actual DeFi, it had to be open. So it had to be composable with the rest of DeFi, and we didn't want to care about any permission setup or KYC as well. Our goal was to raise $250K for 5 years at 2.5% interest rate, which obviously is very low. So what you can get currently in the Eurozone is something between 3.8, 4.7%. So this obviously isn't a commercial rate here, but serves the purpose of the case study. So what we did was that we created and we leveraged the smart contracts that we built for our pawn previously because they were made in a way where we could leverage them for this particular case. And there is the whole setup of smart contracts where we enabled crowdsourcing on both sides, crowdsourcing on the side of the borrowers and crowdsourcing on the side of the lenders. This is a pure DeFi mortgage, so it actually doesn't directly touch real estate, but it sets up the setup in a way where the lenders are protected and the borrowers can buy the real estate. That's what I mean by the means to an end. So first, we had to establish the terms, the LTV, the rates, and so on, and we created a crowdfunding vault, which essentially is a 4626 vault that you all know, and if you use DeFi, very likely use as well, where people could deposit USDC at this promise rate of 2.5%. Plus, if they contributed enough, they would get exposure to some perks from the physical space, like membership, like hosting your server, like being able to host an event at the hackerspace, etc. We didn't want them to incur any loss or opportunity cost during the crowdsourcing period, so this was open for 90 days, and the funds from the vault were proxy deployed to Aave to earn some baseline yield. So even during the waiting period, they weren't using against the variable rate of what DeFi provides. That's kind of the composability aspect. Then the second step is for the borrowers to actually put down a deposit. So it's not, the DeFi mortgage is not really about locking the house, but you can imagine using something like tokenized real estate as well instead of the wrap ETHFI ETH that we use here. But we set up a safe wallet where the contributors, the kind of founding members, have crowdsourced wrap ETHFI ETH as the collateral. And we locked it, and as soon as we collected enough money, we locked it as 75% LTV using the pawn protocol. So this is where we are at now. We essentially executed the loan. The collateral sits in the pawn protocol. It's wrap ETHFI ETH, so it still generates some yield on its own. And we triggered this loan, essentially pulling the money from Aave through the proxy vault into the Gnosis safe or the safe wallet. Now we have essentially a stablecoin loan, which we can use to buy the particular property. Once the property is purchased, then the perks unlock for all of the lenders. In this particular case, we had over 47 lenders. We had actual 47 lenders to contribute to the Bordel case, and on the side of the borrowers, we have 6 people. So once the loan is executed, then there is a grace period of 6 months to get all of the paperwork done, and the fixed rate request is triggered. So after 6 months, the borrowers have to start repaying the loan. So this loan won't get liquidated on a price dip, but it will get liquidated if you stop making repayments. And for the entire duration of the 5 years, if you miss one single repayment by like 1 cent, then the smart contract allows anyone to liquidate the entire collateral, which, I mean, in this case means that the entire collateral will be transferred to the proxy vault that was in the beginning, and therefore the lenders will get their own share on the collateral. So in order to fight this price uncertainty, the entire collateral remains at risk until the very last repayment. We didn't want to include an oracle because, well, we don't know if there will be any oracle function in 5 years. And we also didn't want to create this structure where you could lose everything in order to get that real estate, because it wouldn't actually serve the purpose of getting the mortgage. So then after repayments start flowing in, then the lenders can claim the yield, the perks, and boom, everybody's happy. So how did it go? On day one, during the Ethereum Culture Day, during Dappcon Act, we raised 80K in like one shot. It was, I don't know, like 4 or 5 people contributed, and boom, we were at 80K. For the next 2 months, not much happened. So we raised like 5K for the duration. We were trying to communicate. We were trying to build up the structure. We were slowly giving up on making this happen. Then day 70 came around, or roughly 70, and we found it. We actually found a place that we could afford with the money. We knew there were other places that we kind of looked at, but nothing was actually perfect. Like some places were kind of dirty, what would like require a lot of investments for the hackerspace to exist. But on the day 70, we found a perfect spot, which cost like 150K, was actually dry, 70 meters square, was perfect. And it kind of kick-started the enthusiasm again. So within the next 14 days, we went hard and we started actually reaching out to everybody that we knew. And boom, actually 12 hours before the expiration of the loan, we raised it. We raised 180K, which was the minimum from the 250 that was the target goal. And that money still enabled us to actually execute this entire thing. And again, it wouldn't be possible without the 47 people who contributed as lenders. And a lot of people actually got excited in the last days, which kind of made it actually made the process fun rather than being super stressful. And like the worst case scenario, like everybody would just get their money back, right? So what did we find? We're getting a bunker. We're getting a 70 meter square bunker in Prague. It has everything that you can dream of, right? There is a decontamination shower. There's a massive ventilation system in case of like a chemical attack. There's a proper bunker door, and an escape hatch. Like everybody needs an escape hatch, right? In this environment, in this economy. So we're now in the process of setting up the paperwork. A lot of that has actually already happened. The important part here is, coming back. The important part here is the legal structure was kind of completely invented out of nowhere. So this works in particular in Czech Republic. I think the similar structure could actually work anywhere across Europe. But what we did is that we established a stocks company, and then people who contributed to the collateral formation received shares in that stocks company based on their contribution. The whole point here is that we had a bunch of crypto natives who wanted to crowdsource money to co-share, co-own a hackerspace, but none of them wanted to just sell their crypto and lose exposure to crypto, which was kind of the initial motivation. So this way, we simply create a structure that enables them to co-own the space, but if they comply with the terms of the loan, also to keep their crypto. So the incentive for them is to make sure the place works, generates some revenue, and actually is able to repay the loan, because the loan stores their private ETH that they would otherwise lose. So although there is no direct legal connection between the loan and the property and the stocks company, there is a very strong incentive for the stocks company being owned by the people who have a personal stake in the DeFi loan. Funny thing happened, and nobody actually assumed something like this would be possible. But that's kind of the magic we live in. We promise a rate of 2.5%, but what the lenders are actually getting is 5%. And the reason being that somebody made a mistake. So the way the proxy vault, the lender vault works is that you use the deposit function, which kind of drains the USDC that you approve, and then it mints you the shares, the lender shares in the vault, which is kind of the representation of your share on the repayment and the principal. But the very last person that enabled the loan, instead of using the deposit function, they just went and did the classic crypto mistake, and they just transferred USDC to the contract address, which means that they effectively donated the money to the lenders. The way the contracts work still enable us to execute a loan, which is fine. So we just basically borrow the full 180K. But this particular person won't be getting their shares back or like their repayments back. So even though we didn't promise the 5%, we actually made it quite competitive mortgage from perspective of like long-lasting yield income, which is very competitive to like you investing in like real mortgages in Europe. So what's the current status? As I said, we are almost done with the paperwork. We're missing one last signature on the shares takeover in the stocks company. We also, because it's still an active bunker, we just passed like some of, and this is actually before it happened. So by now, the revisions for the ventilation system, for electricity and so on, they're all done. So that's kind of the legal side of the paperwork that needs to happen with the physical space. And tomorrow, we're getting the last signature on the paper, and then next week we should be actually able to like finally sign the purchase contracts and hopefully move in next month. And that's the case that we started. What we want to do as OWN is to fund more community spaces. So if you have an idea, if you have a project, please come talk to us. We want to help more communities to own their physical environments. So if you're building a hackerspace, if you're building a co-working space or a communal living project anywhere in the world, we want to be part of it. And like we want to help you to not only use the stack that we created. By the way, everything that we use for the Bordel loan is public and open source. So you don't even need us to make it happen. You can just go there. There's no fee that you have to pay. Like you can go there, you can make the loan, you can fork the repo with the front end, and you can run with that. But if you want to do something cool, come talk to us, and we want to help you do that for free. We will even like help you find the lenders. Just to make sure that we can prove that these systems can work anywhere in the world and that you don't actually need to default to TradFi to do something in the physical world, something that's tangible. And I believe we have like 30 seconds for questions.
Thank you very much. In fact, I'm going to scan the QR code. We have a few minutes for questions. I'll use the minutes to scan the QR code because I always have an ice cream type of space always thought for builders. It has to be ice cream, though.
That's awesome. I'm down.
Great. Does anybody has a question here for Joseph? We have a few minutes, so you don't have to think it completely in a rush.
Hey, Joseph. What about providing loans with other coins as collateral, such as Bitcoin, which some people may hold with a long-term perspective? And what about also kind of getting the cash in the bank, but presumably in this instance as USDC, and then it's kind of for you, the home purchaser, to find your way to get that into cash?
So, so question number one is Bitcoin. I mean, this is all EVM contracts, so we can do wrap Bitcoin, T Bitcoin, and like essentially the wrapped versions of that on EVM. We're not like particularly interested in writing Bitcoin script and like porting this directly to Bitcoin. Also because the way it's written now, it enables, I guess, like the less decentralized versions, but the more commercially ready versions for doing this with something like tokenized real estate, where it kind of becomes like even more mortgage-like or even more tangible for a lot of people who are outside of the space. And the second question, the way we did it now was that we essentially just went through a traditional exchange. And I think we ended up paying something like, I don't know, a few $100 in terms of the fees for turning this into fiat. So the purchase itself actually happens in fiat. obviously it was not a huge amount. It was like 150K roughly. So we passed all the checks. Nobody was hiding here at the time of setting up the company. It's like physical people building a company, transferring capital to the company, which is all normal. So we actually didn't hit any roadblockers on turning USDC into fiat.
Okay, thank you very much, Joseph. We had the time only for one question.
Awesome.
Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
so much.
I was actually. Thanks. Yeah, like these spaces at least in Buenos Aires, in Argentina, are